Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Gail Morgan welcoming you to the Libertarian Counterpoint's Knuckleheads of Liberty podcast. You've heard their point, now listen to the counterpoint.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Knuckleheads of Liberty podcast. We're coming at you on April 28th of 2021, about 4 months into the Biden administration, and a lot to talk about. But before we get into any of that, let me introduce you to our panel. In our upper left-hand corner, we have our screaming eagle of freedom, Tim Everett. He is a pilot in the state of California. In our upper right-hand corner, we have Leon, the word Brathwaite, last word in Liberty. He is a retired engineer in the state of California. My name's Jason McPhee, and I will be your host today. So let's jump into it. Biden's foreign policy. So I guess, not too long ago, he announced that he's going to be pulling all of the troops out of Afghanistan. Finally, like 20 years after we went in there to, address the knocking down of the World Trade Centers. But this has been 20 years, literally. And it's kind of funny, though, because normally that would sound like a good thing. I mean, if we're, libertarians are sitting here thinking, hey, the government's actually kind of finally started to stop doing wars. But it's funny because Trump had already said they were going to pull out, and he was going to do that apparently in May. And now Biden has essentially pushed it to 9/11 of this year. Now, I'm not sure that 9/11 is particularly strategically strategically important, other than, maybe, they want to do some ceremony about it. So they're going to delay pulling out for about, 6 months or so. Anyways, I guess so sort of a mixed bag then. But what do you guys think about that?
Well, I guess I'll go first. Yeah, a couple of things. First of all, this whole, let's wait. The people that may die in June, July, May, because it was supposed to be May 1st. So May, June, July, and August, and then the first 10 days of September. Those, what's Biden going to say to the parents of the military people over there that die between now and then, as to what did they die for? For what reason, Joe, did those people die? That would be a good question for them to ask Joe Biden. Of course, they'll never be able to. But so the first thing is the symbolism nonsense. Now, far be it from me to be ungrateful for a president to pull us out of a stupid, complete waste of everything, like the war in Afghanistan has been. Oh, wait a minute! I shouldn't call it Afghanistan. I should call it by its famous moniker, the graveyard of empires, because that's what it is. But secondly, the second point I'd like to make is that these wars have gotten to the point now where they're waged from afar. So this could continue. In other words, the United States of America, I should say, the government of the United States of America can continue to wage war in Afghanistan, like they have increasingly in both Syria, Iraq, where they wage war from all parts of the world in drone attacks and in special forces attacks and in private contractors. So that's how the wars are being waged now. So there's plenty of private contractors that are going to be left behind in Afghanistan. There's going to be troops moved over next door to Pakistan to continue waging war and to do insertions and go in and continue to waste American blood and treasure in the graveyard of empires as we go on. So number one, this whole symbolism of the September 11th thing is complete. I can't even say it because it starts with a B and an S. And and then furthermore is that we're really not out. Okay, so maybe we won't have any actual flag-wearing military people in there, except for special forces. But they'll all be secretive. CIA. It's just going to be CIA run special forces and drone bombings continually in Afghanistan, probably for the next 3 or 4 decades at least, maybe more. I don't know, but that's that.
Well, war is a nasty business. There's no doubt about that. Okay, it's a really nasty business. It injures a lot of people, and both in terms of life, liberty, everything. It's bad. It's bad. But is it a necessary evil? I think that's the question that we really have to answer. Is it a necessary evil? So, as a libertarian, I am a small libertarian. I am asking the following question: should we, as citizens of the United States, be against all foreign interventions?
Well, if you want an answer from me,
yes, I do.
Okay, yeah. Personally, I don't think we should be the policemen of the world. I think that it's one thing if it's clearly part of maybe a defensive effort. If somebody is deciding they're going to maybe some kind of regime is trying to conquer the world, and maybe we make an alliance to help stop that, maybe. But gosh, I mean, the idea that our defense is in everybody else's country sounds a little like offense to me, And I mean, it's almost like, hey, we're shooting to make sure that you don't shoot at us, kind of a thing. And now, granted, they did, the Taliban that was behind the knocking over of the World Trade Centers, they were headquartered in Afghanistan. So, I mean, there was a legitimate reason for us to attack. However, you also have to wonder how much of that is blowback from the fact that we want to have our defense everywhere around the world. I mean, if we're literally in all of these different countries, like I think, what is it? Osama bin Laden? He was, I think out of Saudi Arabia was where he was really.
He's a Saudi. He's a Saudi.
Exactly. And I mean, here we are constantly, got our hands, shaking hands with, awful people like Saddam Hussein and all these other terrible people. We're sitting there shaking hands with all these people, to essentially promote our interests around the world. And I mean, that's kind of horrific, I mean, the idea that we're propping up these terrible people who are doing terrible things to the people in those parts of the world. We're not really leading by example in that case. We're in bed with bad people. And, I just think, maybe we need to be a little more transparent and a little more hands off on this stuff and lead by example, lead as a market where, there to engage voluntarily with people. And we're not going to sit there and hand weapons to people who are shooting their own citizens and gassing them and everything else. That's my thought.
I think we could all agree that there's evil in the world, okay? And some of this evil is being projected by some people with nuclear weapons, okay, quite frankly. And I am not going to sit here and defend every action by the United States. I'm not going to do that. But are there some foreign wars that are justified? Take World War II. Should we, as a libertarian, should we have supported World War II?
Okay, so that's to answer Leon's question with an answer that's also related to the World War II thing, is that it was at bare minimum, whether we supported World War II or not, at least it was a legal war. In other words, Congress declared war and did it according to the Constitution. Whereas this war in Afghanistan with that 20-year-old authorization for the use of military force that has been used as if it were a get out of jail free card. 60 pages, one page, 60 words on one page is the AUMF. And they have been using that even in Yemen and Somalia to go and fight for Al-Qaeda. We have the United States of America. And so this is number one. Al Qaeda is our enemy, according to the AUMF. Okay, I might remind everyone, and so this is totally illegal. Not only that, but it's totally unpatriotic to be supporting our enemy, the Al Qaeda. Okay, and so this kind of nonsense is totally off the table for me. But to answer Leon's question, yes, if Congress can make, and the president and whoever wants to go to war can make can sell the idea to the American public, and Congress declares, according to the Constitution, a war, the 90-day what is it? The 90-day, the little 90-day thing the president gets to do military.
In case of imminent threats, yes, there's a 90-day.
Right. That's
yes.
Yeah, the War Powers Act. The
War Powers Act. War Powers Act. Yeah.
So that's fine. Okay, because that's going to take care of threats to free shipping and free trade. Okay, so the United States Navy is okay. It's okay with me if we're the policemen of the world, if we want to keep shipping lanes open and keep pirates off the backs of freighters and so on and so forth. I think we have a duty and an obligation as the richest nation to do that kind of thing. And we can legally under the 90-day War Powers Act. So there you go. That the congressional declaration, which would have handled World War II, and probably anything in the foreseeable future. However, this 20 years nonsense has got to stop. Okay, and I don't mean just, we're going to put the guys that wear the flag on their shoulders out into Pakistan, and they'll just run in when we won't tell anyone. Okay, none of that. None of these endless drones. If the Taliban takes over Afghanistan, I'm sorry, I'm not worried. In Des Moines, Iowa, they don't have to worry about freaking Afghanistan without even a navy, without even a coastline, for crying out loud, and any way of doing anything. They're so impoverished. There's no way they can wage war against, your people in Spokane, Washington, for crying out loud. So don't lie to us, And I'm done. Because now I'm getting excited.
No, I'm listening. I'm taking it all in, Tim. Don't worry, I'm taking it all in.
Yeah.
So what about fine, about the policeman of the world? I can understand the point.
I actually have a rebuttal to that, but I'll let you go on first.
Okay. The policemen, we're not policemen of the world to go into every little civil war. Even if it has so-called our interests, our oil interests or whatever interests we think we have, or that, somebody is paying somebody else to make sure that we secure those interests. No, those are based on what Congress says, not the president. All these AUMFs are basically to allow the president to do what he wants, and that's no wonder they keep redoing it over and over and over, because it just oh wow, Congress just totally abrogated their responsibility under the Constitution. So now it's all in my hands. Now I get to be a little god. I get to be a little dictator. And every single president has just been more than willing and happy to do it. Okay, well, that's not constitutional. And the framers made it that way on purpose, because that's what happens. This is what happens. You get Afghanistan for 20 years when you give the power to the president. And that's why I side with Thomas Jefferson and all the other framers when I say this is a job for Congress, and this nonsense has got to stop.
But Tim, you're making a distinction here. Yeah, what I'm hearing you say, right? You are making a distinction between congressional authorization for the use of military force in foreign lands and the formal declaration of war by Congress. You're making a distinction between that. Am I hearing that correctly?
Yes.
Okay. Well, okay, fine. Why then a declaration of war, which is really the use of the military power of the United States, why is that different from and we don't have a declaration of a war, but we have the authorization to use military force in foreign lands. I don't see the distinction between the two.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. But I would submit that the distinction, it has to have an end time with an actual end result and so on. Okay, so same thing with it, whether it's a declaration or an AUMF. You can't just keep bringing up the same old one. It's like, seriously, 20 years later, the people that bombed and helped and aided and abetted the people that bombed the Twin Towers and so on, 9/11, they're still out there. Are you kidding me? No, you're not. Are you serious? You're seriously going to use that as a reason to go kill people today? And not just a few, in Afghanistan it's well over into the 100,000s of people. Okay, not as many, and mostly just poor dumb Afghanis that just got in the way of these drone bombs and carpet bombs and everything else. So a bunch of them apparently Taliban. However, Taliban won. I mean, they got like 2/3 of the country. After 20 years, they still control 2/3 of Afghanistan. You would think, with all these people dead, maybe there'd be some advancement in getting rid of the Taliban. But
Tim,
no,
that's what victory looks like with government.
Oh, that's a victory. Yeah, victory. Yeah, it kind of looks like defeat to me. And then this cost now, according to the Brown Institute, what was it, 1.1 trillion or something, or 2.
It's somewhere up there. It's somewhere up there.
Yes. Yeah, it's way up there, and that's not even counting all the people that got their legs blown off and their arms blown off, and they're still going to require care through. This. Okay. I'll tell you what. Give me an AUMF then. Okay, but do it according and have Congress vote on it. But don't do it for 20 years when everybody's dead that you on the last one. Okay, have an end date or an end result, and if you don't make the result, it's over. Okay, it's done. Throw it in the trash. It's done. It goes into the little history book of AUMFs that the federal government foisted upon the poor deadbeat American public and their future.
By the way, you guys aren't seeing the screen share then right now, or is that?
No, we're not. Okay. No, we're not.
No. Oh, there it is.
Yeah. There it is. Yes.
Okay, $2.261 trillion. Brown University, 2.2, or almost 2.3. But anyway,
and just
there you go.
A few more.
But
hold on. Just let me give some numbers real quick. So this is what our troop deployment has looked like over the period. We peaked in about 2011 with over 100,000 troops, and now we're down to just a sliver of that. And as far as deaths go, this is the BBC, by the way, their numbers, sourced by the UN, I guess. And and then of course lots of civilian casualties, as you've been saying, Tim. Here in Afghanistan. So
there you go.
The one thing I would like to just add to this discussion is that let us not conflate acts of war with nation building. Okay, I think Afghanistan started off as a war and then it turned into nation building, which nation building is not a job of the military, without a doubt. So
is it a job of the U.S. federal government's taxpayers? Is it a job for them?
Well, that's a legitimate question, but we do have when I say we, I'm talking about we taxpayers, represented by our elected representatives. We do have a very huge foreign aid budget, and I mean, sure, some of us have raised objections about it, of its use and all that, but that is used for nation building. Now, if you are telling me that the aspect of Afghanistan that turned into nation building you find objectionable, I could not argue with that point on the simple basis that's not the job of the military. But if you are telling me that we should not have gone into Afghanistan at all, I think I may have a problem with that, because I think on net, the projection of the military might of the United States is something that is noble on net. Okay, that does not mean we don't have misadventures. Oh God, I think the Vietnam War was probably a serious misadventure.
Misadventures than adventures.
Yes, it was. Well, if you want me, we have a comment. War is a last resort. It can be ventured into when it's unavoidable. Well, I may have to agree with that statement. It's
sure, when it's unavoidable.
Evil.
Yeah,
it's a necessary evil.
As we're kind of getting short on time, let me jump real quick. I want to take a quick parting shot, though, where there was one or two real quick things. One is with respect to policing, I mean, if when we start policing, I mean, it's sort of like the rest of the world doesn't necessarily agree that we should be the police, right? I mean, so the fact that we're out there and deciding what should be policed, there is kind of I guess an authoritarian issue there. I mean, we may say, hey, we're don't worry, we're the good guys, but that's not always seen that way. So I just wanted to leave that in. Another thing too, with respect to declaring war, I think at least on a moral level, it's not required constitutionally, but the fact that we have this fiat currency and the fact that the government doesn't necessarily advertise the cost of a war going into it, they sit there and they, essentially print money in a lot of cases. That's something where I think also a moral thing for a government to do with its people is to say, hey, look, if this is something we really all agree on, here's the price tag too, and we're gonna raise a tax for this war. We're not gonna sit here and just print money. So I think that's another issue as well.
But Jason, on your last point, though, then that's our fault as taxpayers, because
I agree.
Our elected representatives vote on these dollars. They vote on it to whatever use they're gonna put it to, our tax dollars. And sure, some of it is quite objectionable. I would agree with you on that. But our elected representatives are voting on these things, so that's our fault as taxpayers are not policing the people who are using our dollars for their advantage throughout the world. That's our fault.
Well, I wanted to jump into this other thing. Tim brought this to our attention the other day, and this is a way as libertarians, maybe we can get involved in trying to push for less of this military adventurism or misadventurism throughout the world, and that's defend the guard, which is, Tim, I don't know if you wanted to sort of take the lead on that, since this is kind of your baby.
in a nutshell, these wars out there, a lot of it are utilization of National Guardsmen from states by the federal government in these forays into foreign lands without a declaration of war or even an AUMF that is actually applicable to that particular operation. So what Defend the Guard wants to do is uphold the Constitution, like it says, and require that before the federal government can utilize National Guard from states, state National Guardsmen or women, to go over to these foreign forays, in military forays. Before they can do that, it has to be a declaration of war. I'm not sure if they even talk about AUMF in there, but
they don't, Tim. But okay. Go ahead.
Okay, so that's what they want. Okay, how about this? If it's an AUMF, you got to use regular troops, federal troops. If you want to use the Guard, you got to declare war. It's got to be a declaration of war before you can take the sons and daughters and blow their legs off in these stupid, nothing ever comes of them. Oh, they got bin Laden. Oh, yeah, I'm still not really sure why they threw his body into the ocean. I mean, it's like every other federal thing. It's as opaque as the side of the aircraft carrier's hull that was used to dump bin Laden's body into the ocean. Okay, that's how opaque it is. Okay, nothing is out in the open. Nothing is transparent. And I, for one, don't like that. Okay, so, because the truth is always the first casualty of war. And this has never been more the case than in recent times. And about Okay, I could go on and on. I gotta stop.
We know, Tim. We know you can go on.
What's time for our Knucklehead Noise Patrol?
Okay,
but yes,
I
I definitely agree. That's a good note to end on. That the truth is the
first casualty of war. Yeah.
Yes. But,
you have no disagreement from me on that point.
Well, as far as people just bending the truth and twisting our Constitution and our government, so I got to talk about our recent foray into court packing by the Democrats. So they are pushing now a bill to add justices to the Supreme Court, and surprisingly, it's just enough so that Democrats will have control. Apparently, that's the magic number. There's no study from any particular group saying that hey, justice is better achieved with 13 justices or whatever the number is. It's just simply, what number gives the Democrat? Oh, that's it, right? But anyway, here's Gerry Nadler. I mean, literally just Newspeak on stilts, right? I mean, as Orwellian as it gets. Gerry Nadler talking about the recent bill to essentially to pack the court, and he said some people will accuse us of packing the court. We're not packing the court. We're unpacking it. Senator McConnell and Republicans packed the court over the last couple of years. This is a reaction to that. So literally appointing justices is packing now, and unpacking is when you just simply add in more.
Yes, filling statutory vacancies. That is packing now.
Yeah.
Talk about redefinition of words by these wonderful people. They always have some new definition. Something always have to be tweaked just to make us understand their intent a little better. You know what we need to straighten this all out? We need a vaccine against stupidity. That's what we need. We need a vaccine to straighten out these people's minds, because something in their brain does not work right.
Don't have the government do it, because they'll probably get the wrong effect.
It's true.
It's true. Make all of us believe, Nadler. Anything on the packing, unpacking?
No. I mean, I've talked too much already, and I just want to give Leon,
it's fine.
How much time he needs. And so, yeah, I agree with all that too. Yeah, he's absolutely right. I mean, and then, it's going to just cause the Republicans to want to pack when they get a Republican president in there. And so then there'll be 4 new ones, and then 6 and 8 and 10 and 12. And pretty soon there'll be 189 judges on the Supreme Court.
All from unpacking. And it's time to pack up another show. We've reached the end of our time. But thanks so much for joining us, and stay free. We'll see you next time.